Introducing
air guitar. Timmy wouldn't do air guitar.
Jackass.
I'll tell you what, it's ABT Live, episode 55. I'm trying to get the party going, and old Timmy here has all of a sudden decided not to say anything and not to do something stupid, mate. Well done. First time for everything.
Captain Sensible.
Welcome to tonight's show, ABT Live. It's the 55th episode since COVID started, and we decided we needed to do something to do when we weren't doing tournaments, because we weren't allowed to do tournaments back in COVID. Some tournament organisers did it, but we didn't, because we did the right thing. Tonight we got Tim here, of course, Tim Morgan from Rapala. We're going to be here to talk about the Rapala BASS Pro Series. It is a renamed series this year. Last year it was the 13 Fishing BASS Pro Series, but 13 Fishing Rapala, two of your big brands.
Yep, so we're stoked to be involved. I think we've seen the uptake of 13 reels and things like that, but I think we've had, over the last few years, some really cool Rapala lures come out. We've obviously got the Crush City baits. We've got the VMC jig heads for it. We've got some really cool new Rapala Crush City bass soft plastics coming out again this year. So we thought we'll change it up a little bit, and love the tournament series, love supporting it. So under Rapala this year.
Fantastic. And although the reason you said you hung around for ABT Live is for the dinner tonight, Nicole cooked up a great, what was it, a Japanese chicken curry? Nice.
Yes.
Shaun Ezzy's over behind us over here. She fed us all well. It wasn't as challenging as the night where you had 495 kilos of blokes you had to feed, but you did that well too, Nicole. So Nicole's producing out the side there tonight. Technically, probably can't stitch us up as much off screen as she could on screen, but don't know, I'm not going to push it too hard. Tonight we've also got Dom Wiseman, who's representing Frogley's Offshore. We recorded a segment with Don earlier today. Frogley's Offshore have got the very first round of the Rapala BASS Pro Series. They're sponsoring the round on the Hunter River. And of course the question is, everyone is, are they going to be as generous as they were at the BREAM round? Well,
2 rods. No.
They're not your rods, mate. Come on. But yeah, we will find out very soon when we talk to Dominic from there. It's the big news from them coming. So make your own mind up whether you think that means something, some cool gifts for the anglers or not. Of course, I said Shaun Ezzy, who represents JML, brands like Eco Gear, Norries. He's in studio tonight, so he will magically appear instead of Timmy at some stage tonight. We're going to talk about the JML sponsored round of the Rapala BASS Series, which is on the Hawkesbury River. Been a few years since we've been on the Hawkesbury, and the one thing that we did learn last time we were at the Hawkesbury was do not run a bass tournament on the weekend, because there were water skiing shutdowns up and down the river all the time, and you could get stuck in a part of the river for a couple of hours, and that sucked balls when we're on no fish. So we're doing it midweek. We had the choice of either running the Hawkesbury during the week or the weekend. Bang, do it during the week, no water skiers to deal with. So happy days for that one. And then later on, let's follow it through chronologically. We are going on a massive road trip down to Sydney. So the 2 bass events. We then have 1 day off, and then we jump across to the Hawkesbury River for the 4th round of the Daiwa BREAM Series. That is the BaitJunkie round on the Hawkesbury River. And then we jump straight after that into the Daiwa BREAM Australian Open. So it doesn't matter if you're a fishing tournament tragic, you got tournaments to fish. If you're a fishing follower, if you like following the sport for the next couple of weeks, from about a week's time, we drive down around the middle of next week, you have got some events to fish, or events to follow, because Bass Tournament app, Hawkesbury's a weigh-in tournament, but the Australian Open 3 days with estimated scoreboards as well as a weigh-in. So 3/4 of the events, you're going to be able to follow the scoreboards. Now, Nicole was mentioning before, during the Clarence event, that's the first event we've had in the BREAM Series this year that wasn't an app tournament. And Nicole, what were they all saying? Is the scoreboard broken? We don't have a live scoreboard if it's a weigh-in tournament. I know when you're watching tournaments, it's really cool to see a live scoreboard. So I think anglers are slowly coming around. Spectators came around years ago. we're loving AF tournaments and we're loving the information that they give us when the guys are on the water. An away-in tournament, first thing you see really is, unless you're watching my live stream, is you're seeing the weigh-in and ta-da, magic, they caught all of these fish. So we're talking to Tommy Slater, who's got some big news for us tonight, and Taka Kawasaki, who's the head hard body lure designer for Rapala. Taka's fishing.
For
Daiwa.
Shh, that's another secret. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that might be the other one we're doing tonight. To talk Daiwa BREAM Australian Open, so away we go. A little bit of news about what's been happening. Wow, it wasn't the atomic round on the Clarence Brim, was it wet? It was super wet. You were in Brisbane, it was flooding up here in Brisbane half the time as well. We managed just to get the tournament in. For people on the sidelines, what are the parameters we cancel the tournament? One, if it's a gale warning, we can't fish, and two, if the river is in flood, we can't fish. And luckily, the river was in flood up at Grafton, but in the areas that we were fishing, it was under minor flood levels. And I was actually quite surprised at how many fish the guys caught. Mickey Horn, biggest bag on day 2 with some new secret baits.
New secret bait, which he should have thrown more on day 1.
Well, he should have backed it. And how cool was it, John Parkinson winning his first event as a non-boater. I think John absolutely loved the accolades on social media. I think John was there on the phone the next day just going, yep, I'm awesome, yes, I'm awesome. And he's a great guy, and it was great to see him after 4 or 5 years of trying, brought himself the first event. Nicole reminds me, we sat down to interview John. You wouldn't have seen that. You would have seen his interview we did on the social media and on the YouTube channel about how he won. But I set the 2 chairs up, and I go, there you go, Jono, sit in that one. And they're only like fold-up chairs. Jono sat straight down in it. Boom. Straight over in the back, legs in the air, on his back. And it was like, didn't hurt or anything. He rolled. He didn't sort of fall. It wasn't timber.
He's still in hospital, isn't he?
No, he was there, and all I saw was 2 legs up in the air and a fishing rod sticking out the side. So nice stack, Jono. You recovered really well from that. And I know you didn't lean back as far next time when he sat on that chair. And of course, Mark Healy, the man seems unstoppable at the moment. I think he's up to nearly 9 wins he might be in the last 3 or 4 years, and that is as good as we've ever seen in far as cadence of wins.
Yeah. Might have to come out of retirement. No,
I think you've left it too long, mate.
He's got me covered.
When was your last Brim tournament win? 2000
I reckon it's well over. It's probably 2 decades ago.
20 years ago. Never too late to start again, mate. Never too late to start. Before Nicole was born, she said. There you go. The BREAM AOY, let's have a look at it. The BREAM AOY top 10, we've got a couple of slides here. Let's start with the boaters we've got on there and have a look. Look, no surprise there. Mark Healy, 2 wins this year already and a top 10 for 292 points. But under that, if Mark Healy gets hit by a bus, man, it's going to be close. Christian Wardini and I within 1 point. Cromo's on, look, 275, Christian Wardini. I'm on 274. Cromo's on 274. Old Uncle Darryl Baird, who won Gippsland, 268 points, and Mitchie Blomqvist, 250. And look at that, Scott Cicluna, 244. So there's 1, 2, 3 Victorians in the top 7 there. So Victorians, thank you guys for travelling this year, and you're all going to, the ones that make the effort are definitely going to qualify for their home grand final down in Victoria. So down to top 10, Rob Allington there, of course. With only 30 people in the grand final this year, it's a lot more harder to get in. Like Scotty Wilson was the last person in the BREAM grand final last year. He fished 4 events. So I think you're going to have to fish a minimum of 4 to get in and compete for that the grand final prize if you're a boater. We took delivery, I haven't got a photo of it here, but we took delivery of the trailer for the prize boat during the week. That's a 5.3 metre alloy craft we're giving away. A 150 Racing Mercury is going to be on the back of it. The foundation of that sitting here at Fishing Monthly magazine now. So looking fantastic. Let's talk about the non-boater angler of the year. And it's a bit of a runaway in the non-boater side there. Nathan Booth has been on fire this year. He's had 3 events and he hasn't even dropped 10 points yet. So 3 points for 292 points is exactly the same as Mark Healy. They fished together in Malakuta. And I know Nathan Booth has, of the 2 events so far that he's fished this year, he won the same Shimano rod, I think, in both of them. So he really commented to Mark that he wanted to win that Shimano rod. He won it at Malakuta, and then he won another one at the Clarence. So, but he's got himself a nice quiver at the moment. Chris Hoken from Queensland in 2nd place. Cole Wilson, Scott's old man, in 3rd for 249 points. Samuel Rako, 245 points. And Parko, of course, after his epic win, bookended it with a couple of pedestrian performances, sitting in 5th at the moment, 233 points. Down to Harry Young, the Victorian gun. He did 2 events and is on 195 points. But unless we see Harry again this year, he is probably not going to make the grand final. Of course, win if you're in, but otherwise it's the top 30 in total that we have going in there. So while we've got graphics up, Nicole, let's jump to the Daiwa BREAM Australian Open start list. We've got 28.
I don't want to talk about that when we're supposed to talk about that.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about it later on. Get in trouble from the producer. Okay, we'll talk about that later on.
Where's that on the run sheet? No.
It is on the run sheet. So, okay, we've talked about the slides. Let's talk about, you would have seen it on Tackle Fridays a week or two ago, but Nomad Tackle are a brand new sponsor of ABT this year. They've done a couple of times in the past, but they've made a real push re-releasing their S3 hard bodies, and they've got a big soft plastic range coming up. So you'll see a fair bit of them from this year. We spent a bit of time with Damon and the team at their swim tank the other week. Next step is to head out and catch some fish on their bait. So keep an eye out for them. They've got some, I'm sure they'll have some free samples coming out later in the year for BREAM Bass and Barra guys. And I don't know if I should let the secret out, but one of their Bass Pro guys they're looking at maybe is trying to get out this year. They're trying to do a Jacob Wheeler, get out an Elite Pro. How is it fishing with a Bassmaster or a MLF Elite Pro, mate?
It was unbelievable. So, boy can fish. It didn't, just seeing his mind process things, using the electronics, and then actually presenting your lures to the fish. It was very impressive.
So what's the chance of Jacob coming back out this year? You reckon he's got to let us catch up a bit first before he comes back out, gives us another crack?
Don't know, because it's a bit later. I think it starts a few days after Thanksgiving, which is a big holiday for them over in America. So not sure yet, but we'll see if we can get someone over. If not, me and Mickey will be there.
Mick Horn is definitely hoping that Jacob Wheeler stays the hell away and goes Thanksgiving instead. But maybe who knows? Maybe Greg De Palma can get tempted like a beachworm out after a fish framer, come and catch an Aussie barra. We all love it when the internationals come across because they get so excited when they catch their first barra.
Oh, they love it, and they go back, and I think it was a great advertisement for Queensland and for Australia. Like Jacob saying that's the best fish he's ever caught. So and. Every one of them, from the first one he caught to the last one he caught, and he caught a lot of fish, giggling like a little schoolgirl when he's hooked up. Which is
Sean, you love watching their content they made, didn't you? You watched all of them. Yeah, Sean's like, yep, watching it time and time again.
Some awesome net jobs on that, may I say.
Nice work, and I heard your leaders are pretty good too. You tied a good leader.
Yeah, tied a really good leader.
Now, in the spirit of giving stuff away, like. Michael was very generous at that Clarence event. We were pretty generous at last event. I've got this prize box to give away this week. I'm just going to go through what's in it. And as usual, the criteria is how much stuff can I fit in a box that I can post that's not going to cost me $1 million to post. But I reckon I've got about $400 worth of gear in here. So aside from the Daiwa buff, we've got a couple of Xeric barra lures here, the flat shads. I've got them there. We've got some of the Duo Realis, the Booster Wakes. Got a few other Xeric baits here. What do we got? We've got some fish traps and we got a live mullet here. So we're going to hold these fellas up. We've got those guys there. Watch carefully. The lures that I've got in my hand may be involved in the mechanic of how we give it away. What do we got from Rapala? We've got jerkbait. We've got a Popper Elite. Got a Halco. They were last year's sponsor. It's in there anyway. And then Shad Rap Elite. So good, some Rapala hard baits in there. And 13 Fishing. We know that's under the Rapala banner. The Jabberjaw, the big crankbait there with the rat and the lip. What crush shitty things we got here, Timmy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packs of crush shitty. Couple ones for Barra. One of them being the jerk that did a lot of the damage for you on the Barra tour. A pack of all the different samples there, but
Big Bass.
The Big Bass
Slayer.
specials coming into the bass there. They're the Big Bass. So how big was the one that Mick Horns on boat caught on that?
3.88.
388 kilos. That
was
was Pete Maisie caught it on that. So you got some of those. There's a Rapala buff there if you don't like showing your face in public or you're robbing a bank or something useful like that. Some BaitJunkies. There's 5 packs of BREAM style and bass size BaitJunkies there that we're giving away. And last but not least, couple of atomic cranks and vibes, pair of scissors there.
And an atomic rod. No.
We can't fit the atomic rod in there. But interestingly, the mechanic is what atomic rod would you like? If you were going to that bass event down at the Hunter River, where you may or may not get an atomic rod, what one would you like? You might have to go to the Atomic website, or you might have to steal an answer of someone who's already going to put an answer on YouTube or Facebook. It has to be a correct version of an atomic rod. So if you're going to copy it off someone, make sure they know what they're talking about. Don't copy off the kid that doesn't know the answers, Timmy?
That's right.
So that's the prize mechanic for tonight. One person wins all of that stuff, and away it goes in the post. So, Timmy, we're going to talk about you now. You're Mr. Rapala, and I want you to tell me about how cool the schedule is for this year, and I know that we're probably going to get you to an event or two in this, for the 2025 Rapala BASS Pro Series. And I'll just remind you where it's going to be. We're going to be at the Hunter River, of course, very soon, followed by the Hawkesbury River on a road trip. We've got a Glenbourne Dam event, which is actually paired up with a BREAM road trip. So we go to Foster, Taree, Glenbourne, 3 of your all stomping grounds.
That's an old school road trip.
That's a 20-year ago piece de la resistance. And then we finish off with Somerset and Ivanhoe, and Sean's up the back there going, yeah, I only lost that one by 15 grams or something, didn't you, mate? So 20 grams, see? It's still going to hurt you for a decade. And grand final on the Richmond River, on a river again. So it's going to be an interesting series, mate. Rapala, looks like you would have products that are going to hit all of those categories, aren't you?
Well, yeah, we do. And that's been the good thing. I've been at Rapala for a bit over 11 years now. And when I first came, we had good lures to do everything, but now we've been able to have input into everything, and we've got some really, really cool lures that are designed by Australians for our fish, and the results are coming through, you know, like the Barra last year with some of the big jerks. I must admit that when we went up on the Barra, I wouldn't have picked that as being the bait that was going to kill it, but hey, we live and we learn. But like the heavy hitters that Joey and I did well on up at Tinaroo as well. So yeah, from Barra to the bass. So I think with a few river rounds in it, I think that the cranks are really going to come into play. I know down the Clarence in Richmond, Bo Everly got big bass at the Clarence a couple of years ago.
I think he won the grand final.
On the DT8.
On that one, the DT8, on that colour.
DT8, and to let the cat out of the bag a bit, it's going to get a couple of friends at after this year. Oh. So could be bigger, could be smaller, could be both. We'll find out. But
that narrows it down to absolutely nothing, doesn't it? But just this bait.
But I think for the smaller balsa crankbaits, I think they're a key player in the rivers. And when you get to the bigger, deeper ones, up for Somerset and Ivanhoe, things like the DT20s are really crucial. Another one we released a couple of years ago, which I think you don't mind very much. Australian Open on the Clarence River a couple of years ago when we released this, you used the Shad Rap Elite 55 out of the prize pack out of the swag bag you got before the event, and every other one of them I had before the tournament, or after the first day of the tournament went to you. So
that's right,
because I was catching nothing.
I remember that. You were sitting there, you go, how come you've got a Rapala tied on? I go, oh, I got one in the bag. I just went and cut something else off, put that on, and never looked back. Sponsor carbon, that's where it was invented.
Yeah, that's right. And then I think for the rivers as well, the Jabberjaw, which you held up before in the prize pack. So that's a cross between a crankbait and a chatterbait. So that bib on the front of it is actually articulated. It's got metal lips on it, so it makes a really unique sound but gives it a really wide action, and the sun can reflect a bit more off the metal bib as well.
Yep. So
crucial for the river rounds, I think they are. Then when we come up into some of the dams and stuff as well up here, things like, it's a pretty underrated bait, but all the guys in the office, we've caught heaps on it, is the rip and blade. So it's about half an ounce, but it's silent. It's got a really wide, a really big vibration to it, and you can fish it deeper in the schools, or you can fish it off the edges with a slow wind and pause and wind and pause retrieve. Some great fish on that.
That's really a hybrid between a lipless crankbait and a blade, isn't it?
It is, yes. Yep. Yeah, nice and heavy.
You can cast it,
yeah, sinks really well. So you can use it to cover ground in the shallows or fish deeper fish. But I suppose for us, in the last couple of years being tournament bream bass barra fishermen, it's the crush shitty baits that have really gone well for us. And we had Mr. Crush City out here in February this year. Got my new Hummingbird Live, Mega Live 2 on the boat. We went out to Muggera Dam and did exactly what we're doing for the Barra on the bass.
Was that Freddie?
With Freddie and Jeff. We were throwing little 375 jerks on 1/8 of an ounce jig heads in 20 foot of water, picking up individual bass, throwing a lure on the head and strolling above them and catching them. So it was heaps of fun. But again, with Somerset and Wivenhoe as well, last year showed we released the 3-inch heavy hitter.
Everyone got one, I think, didn't they?
Everyone got one, and I think Mick got biggest bass in ABT history. And on the second day, I think a 3.64 or something. His non-boater got as well on a 3-inch heavy hitter.
I'll correct you. Mick didn't get it. Mick's non-boater Pete Maisie got it.
Got it. No,
he was thinking shared weight should be an awesome thing.
Mick netted both of them.
Mick did it. Well, he did get it in the net. Good on you, Mick.
So it was good. But I suppose what we released earlier this year is it's a little bit later than we wanted, but we got them there in the end. Is the VMC Grip R jig heads. So basically, a range of finesse and heavy. We've got some heavier ones coming this year for the Barra, but unique keeper design on them. Got split lead keepers with a wire keeper on it, so to keep that super TPE material on it, holds it on really well. Basically, with these jig heads, you can throw the super glue away and away you go.
I must admit, I've been using them a bit the last few weeks for dewies and threadies and stuff, and that little bit of wire there, it's innocuous, about 2 mil piece of wire. It holds it on really well.
And that was what was important for us. So when you do push the bait onto it, you work it on there, you've really got to just take that little bit of time and effort to pull it down, force it, so rip that into the plastic, and then you can't pull
That's
it
it.
off.
And then the first time you do it too hard, and you end up pushing the wire into your skin, and then draw blood.
Well,
and
you
then
know
after that, you don't do it anymore.
You know you've done it right there.
That's right, because it's gone into your skin.
No pain, no gain.
No, 100%. So, no, I definitely think that the Grip R jig heads are a really good match for a lot of your crush shitties. And that's, of course, because you let Mick Horn away with it. Mick fishes more plastics than anyone I know, and he's really, really bloody good at it. And he's taught me a heap of how to fish the crush shitties, how to match the heads together. And so if you let Mick Horn design a jig head, it's going to end up good, isn't it?
Very good. And we've catered for our crush city as well. So we've got a 1/2 ounce 2.0 there that's perfect for the little suspect. So if you want to slow roll in 30 foot of water, you can get down there and do it. So we got it covered for all the tournament guys. But this year you've even got the tiny ones for the bream.
Tiny
ones, and same for the bass guys. I've had some good sessions over shallow weed with those hidden weights in those jerks again. In salt water they'll float again. In fresh water they'll suspend a bit more, but you can fish them real shallow. Yep. And this year for Crush City we've got another number of baits coming out, but we've got stuff that both the bream and bass guys are going to froth on. So.
Super. Let's just run over the Bass Pro Series this year. It's going to be the best 3 out of your 5 events for the Angler of the Year. So if you can't make it all the way to one end of the arenas or the other, like you can't make it all the way to Sydney or you can't make it all the way to Queensland, you can do it with a middle event at like Glenbourne and then some southern events, or a middle event and some northern events. But of course, if you want to make sure you're in that grand final, I'd be doing all of them. The Rapala non-boater bonus program is here again in 2025, and that's for the non-boaters.
Yep.
They wear a shirt that you give them, or any of the other shirts you've given them over the years.
Can be any, because we've done 13, we've done Rapala, everything before, so any of those shirts, no worries.
And so they wear it either in their glory photos in the app events, or they wear it at the weigh-in of a weigh-in event. And you give them cash money, and it's the same sort of money as the Mercury bonus, isn't it? It's $250 for the first one, $125.75. Yep, Nicole knows that. She made the checks. So it's actually cash money for nonnies for wearing your thing, and it's like you're paying them to have spono karma.
That's exactly right. And what's been good for us too is I see a lot of those jerseys come up on social media where people wear them elsewhere as well.
You should
which
do
is
marketing,
awesome.
mate. You're good at that. Okay, so we've talked about what's new from Rapala. We've talked about the Rapala non-boater bonus program. We talked about the fact it's now Rapala, not 13. We've had to redo all of our tents, so flash new tents for everything. Anything else you need to talk before you bone you and you get your ticket home?
No, just everyone have fun down there, stay safe, and catch heaps of fish on Rapala, because sponsor karma is a thing.
Now, Glenbourne, we might see you, Glenbourne.
Fingers crossed. I'm going over. I've got a few meetings that week, and over to Europe the week before. But fingers crossed, I'll be there.
Sounds like a 20% chance.
30?
30.
Okay.
All right. We all know at that point of entry, it's a 100% chance of entry that gets smaller as we go down.
Every year I want to do all of them, and every year if I do 3 or 4, but I always make time to do the Barra Tour at the end of the year, because that is a lot of fun.
Awesome. That's all right. Let's leave it there with you, Timmy. Thank you for doing what you do.
Oh, that was awkward.
like as if we're not even brothers. Let's jump to an ad and we'll come back with some a bit of magic talk to some of the guys from Atomic. The magic of television. Shaun Ezzy's here. Like, Shaun's not really part of this segment, but this is what's called a seat filler. Shaun's going to sit there and your job is don't fall out of the seat.
No.
Look good and get ready for your segment next time.
Always look good.
Good, all right. Like at the
That's it.
You're my +1 right now,
Yeah.
all right? Let's look, of course, we just talked about the Rapala BASS Pro Series kicking off the next month with that Atomic Hunter River round. Part of the Atomic and then Eco Gear double header in the Rapala BASS Pro Series. We've got good entries coming for those events, Nicole. We've got like 35 maybe for the Hunter River and high 20s for the Hawkesbury. And considering that's a big week event, I reckon that's fantastic. And both of those will be record numbers for those arenas, which is awesome. Shaun, you're going to be one of those guys that's down there giving it a crack as a boater. I think we're going to talk about now, I've talked about a lot of those upcoming events here. We did catch up today with Dom Wiseman from Atomic. Mick would have joined us and had lots of hyperbolic comments there, but he was sick. And even though he was sick, he was at work making everyone else sick, but that was all right. Mick was battling on. Without much more ado, let's go on and talk to Dom Wiseman, telling us what swag you guys are going to get that are fishing the event. Remember the prize mechanic? Tell us one Atomic rod name of an Atomic rod that you might want to win. You could win all of those prizes there. So let's jump to that segment. For those of you who may not know him, this here is Dominic Wiseman. Dominic, you are the marketing genius behind Frogley's Offshore, aren't you? Welcome to ABT Live.
Look, thank you. Glad to be here. Genius is probably too strong a word to use, but thank you very much.
Well, you know, let's say the best marketer of Frogley's in all of Ballina. How about that?
That's probably a fair description then. I can accept that one. Perfect.
And look, let's put it into context. Behind the scenes, you were part of the amazing giveaway that we had for the Atomic round of the Clarence BREAM event last month.
Yes.
And the guys loved that so much. You packaged up about 80 of the Atomic rods to give away, 3 different crankbaits, some line. It was crazy. The guys were amazed with your generosity, and I hope some of them reached out and said thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and it's really good to be involved with events like these at this level. The guys do love that interaction as well. We've had calls from them that have sort of, called to say, that's so good that you're supporting these events, really appreciate it. And that's always nice feedback to get from competitors that are doing the tournaments. I mean, from my perspective, Atomic particularly started out in that tournament scene many years ago.
Yep.
I'm sure we've added a bit of variety to the range, but really our roots are in this tournament scene for sure.
And I think the litmus test for me was when my non-boaters jumped on each day a non-boater had the giveaway rod with a reel on it in their arsenal, throwing lures on it. So, you can't fake that sort of engagement. I love the fact that they were out there catching fish on them. And in fact, John Parkinson, the non-boater winner, one of the days he was using the Atomic rod. And so, one shot, one kill when it comes to tournament success. So great work.
Yes, thank you very much. So we'll do something similar, I think, coming up. So,
well, let's talk about that. We're about to start the Rapala BASS Pro Series for the year, but the very first event, it's an Atomic branded event on the Hunter River. The Hunter is a reasonably new venue for us. We've only been there once before. It's an app-based event so that we can have a limit of 5 fish. We can get around the regulations of having 5 fish in the live well. So we'll have live scoreboards through the day, and we all know that thousands of people
go and look at the live scoreboards to see how their favourite anglers are going. But yeah, you were hinting to the fact that that this event also will have a bit of a giveaway. So hit us with what's coming up.
We will. So I can tell you I've fished the Hunter River once, about probably 10 years ago. So my extensive knowledge has suggested to me that vibes worked really well when I was down there. So we're going to do a giveaway, but we're going to do two things. So we're going to give some money back to some competitors, 4 competitors. We're going to choose randomly, and we're going to cover their entry fee. Now, to do that, they have to follow Atomic Tackle Australia on Instagram.
Yep.
They have to tag us and use a hashtag Atomic Hards and hashtag ABT Hunter.
Yep.
And then up until fishing closes, they have the opportunity to put that up on social, and then we will choose randomly 4 winners. Get in touch with them, and then we'll pay back their entry fee.
I think that's fantastically generous. We had more than that actually into the last one too. So I think more and more people will get onto this as they realise it's money in the hand.
Yeah, look, and the guys that won at the last BREAM round were really thankful, and I know a couple of them had a tough tournament. So it was nice to be able to give back and hear some really good feedback from them about it as well. But following on from that, we're going to give away a bunch of product again. The boss has given the nod. We're able to do something very similar to what we did at the BREAM round. So we're going to give everyone 3 different lures from the Atomic range. One being a Shiner 60, a white bait, the real baits, the new white bait, which is a superb imitation of white bait. I think most people would have seen that. And also 50 vibe, so a hard-bodied vibe. And then if that's not enough for everyone, we're also going to do rods again. So we've got 4 different rod models to choose from. You're gonna pull up in your truck, Steve. We're going to throw them in the back.
Awesome.
And you're going to take them with you. And then guys can choose what they want at the event.
That's fantastic. They do have a choice. And let me say that for anglers that are attending, if you get to the briefing early, you will get your choice. If you get there 5 minutes till the start of the briefing, you're going to get what you're given. So the more choice you'll have, the earlier you come, and that smooths it out for us as well. I loved it at the Clarence because there was just 80 guys sitting around each with one of the Atomic rods in their hand, and they loved them. And there was a couple of little seagulling kids there too. I don't know who owned them, but they were on the sponge too. Don't worry, they were little vacuum cleaners.
No doubt. And look, we love promoting Atomic to the kids as well. So it's definitely a market for us and something that we're really keen to support. So good to get them along to an event, even to see what it's like, even if they're seagulling around in the background.
Dominic, tell us about you guys are based there in Ballina, and we've got a bit of a unique view over your shoulder there. I can see out the window there are just like layers and layers of tackle up to the roof. Michael says the warehouse at the moment is pretty much bursting at the seams. Is this true?
That is very true. There's a lot of stock in here. We've got shipments coming. Shipments have arrived. I think there's a bunch of containers coming in the next month or 2, I'm led to believe. Yep. So if it's not here, it will be very soon, and we'll have absolutely no more room in here in no time.
Mate, all I can do is I can echo the anglers' thanks to you guys for being a great supporter of tournament fishing and to the anglers. And I really encourage anglers to participate. You're all pretty good on social media. You've just got to put a few hashtags on, like a page, and all of a sudden your entry fees can be paid. And whether you're first or last in a tournament, nothing wrong with getting either $275 back for a boater or $150 for a nonny. It just puts a bit of cream on the cake for the weekend. Thank you very much for your support. I think Michael always likes to be the sponsor who gives away the most straight to the anglers, and he definitely hasn't done himself any disservice this year, has he?
No, he's been really generous, and again, as I said, it's something that we kind of are keen to get behind the tournament scene and make sure that where our roots are, we're supporting the.
Is it true that Michael just doesn't like counting stuff at stock take?
Thank you for your support. That's probably fair to say, Steve, I reckon. So come June, maybe it might even get more generous. I don't know.
Mate, appreciate your time this morning. We wish all the anglers fishing those events the greater luck. It's the first event of that 4-event Sydney road trip. And if you're a fishing fan, you've got 2 weeks of fishing to watch. And if you're a fishing aficionado and you want to do it, man, you can fish tournaments for 2 weeks there as well. So we love it, mate. We're going to be sort of down the other side of your part of the world and looking forward to catching and releasing a lot of fish. Thanks for joining us, Dominic.
Well, there you go. Atomic are still setting the standard for being one of the most generous sponsors in ABT. How cool is that? You're going to get a free rod when you're down there.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
You like all the Atomic spot-night anglers, mate. You get your free Atomic stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic.
But Sean's not here from Atomic. You're here for JML Trading.
Yep.
JML, I've got a fair relationship with JML. I remember back in the early 2000s, Tony Shaw brought in a brand called Eco Gear. And I was always really keen to see that brand in Australia because guys like Brett Thompson in the early days would get them left here by some of the Japanese that he'd fish with, and they made the little paddle tails, the little ones, not like this, little grass minnows, was such an awesome bass bait early in the day. Sean, imagine a Hin's Dam of 25 years ago where they hadn't seen a plastic before. Imagine how much that little paddle tail kicking along and jumping off the bottom would get smashed.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I'd go to Somerset, it'd hit the bottom, I'd go pop, pop, and as it sunk to the bottom, it'd be back in the easy days, mate, where it was like 50 to 80 fish days.
Yep.
Sean, you're here because you're a representative of JML, of course, and you are doing the big road trip for the Hunter and for the Hawkesbury.
Yep.
Have you ever been to those joints before?
No, haven't been to either.
And how scared are you of rivers?
Being a pond fisherman, I'm a little bit scared.
What river experience have you got?
I've done a few bass electrics down on the Clarence,
and
the Richmond.
Yep.
And I've fished the Clarence a bit with the Winter guys and Cameron Hall.
Yep. So you know how good rivers can be.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm actually in the pool next door at the moment practicing my skip casting.
Nice. And look, I think what all the dam fishermen learnt about the rivers is first they were like, oh, there's a grain of salt within 50 kilometres, I'm not putting my boat in. To now they're like, I can catch 40 fish a day if I'm having a good day. The most epic days you have of topwater fishing especially always tend to happen in rivers.
Yep.
So I think a lot of the dam fishermen learned that, man, what are these river guys been keeping under their hats all the time? This is really fun, this sort of fishing.
Fish topwater all day.
Yep. Yeah.
Most of our
it's
dams,
shady,
it's half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening.
Put them away for the rest of the day.
That's it. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're fishing the same school of fish that everyone else is fishing. So there are different advantages, I think, of rivers, both the Hunter and the Hawkesbury. The Hunter's got 1, 2, 3, there's at least 3 or 4 big tributaries of it, so you're going to be able to get away from everyone else. The Hawkesbury is huge. It's so big that we can cut the river in half for bream and bass, and even just the bass half is still going to be like 50, 60 plus kilometres from end to end.
Yeah,
so everyone's going to have at least 2 or 3 kilometres of river to themselves if they were equally distributed along the river.
Yep.
So what I got you to do tonight, I got Sean to bring on a bit of show and tell because I know through Tackle Fridays, guys love looking at tackle. Some of the baits that you're going to have packed that come from the JML stable. And of course, all of the baits they make are good, but there are some particular ones, and I've learned a few things tonight about some baits that you make that I didn't even know you made. So take us through some of the stuff that you think is going to work down on these arenas.
Righto. Well, starting topwater, my favourite way to fish is the Achiran 70.
This is a D style?
Yep.
So where would you be throwing this?
That will be on the edges, around trees, submerged trees. You can twitch that down about a foot if you use the second or third toe point.
Like a bent minnow nearly? You can get it down?
Yeah. So subsurface bait. And I haven't skip cast it yet. It might skip cast. I'm not sure. But,
I think it'd be genius if you really can skip cast that thing.
Yeah. But got to give it a crack.
I think a river bass will just inhale it in one go. They won't peck at it. They will just literally eat it. Bream peck at it, and sometimes you lament the fact that there's no real hook on it, but bass are going to annihilate it. Take me through this thing. I didn't know that Western made this. What's this thing?
That's the twin turbo topwater. So I suppose you call it their version of a whopper plopper.
It's a double whopper plopper though.
Yes.
It's got a double whopper on the blade, and I didn't know them. And then it looks like they fold into those legs. So it's
for casting.
How far does this thing throw?
Yeah, fair way.
Forever.
Yeah.
So 2 trebles on it, and is this the only size they make of this one?
Yeah. Actually, I think there's a larger version. That's
Okay.
the smaller one.
So that's a small one. That
Yeah.
seems to be perfect size for big
Yeah.
bass in a river there.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
so how long have
Puts
they
a
had these
fair
ones
old
out
wash
for?
up. About 2 years, but there's been limited stock. So
Tell me,
the first run was quite small, sold out.
Yep.
But straight away, I couldn't even get any.
Yep.
One of my friends found one for me and bought it.
Yep.
Got to fish with it, but now there's
Now
stock.
you can get 'em.
Yeah, yeah.
I want you to describe for me the sound that makes.
Yeah, it sounds like you had a big curry the night before.
That's it. So
Yeah.
they make it so it'll attract them from a long way. And the best retrieve for that, is it a stop start or is it just a slow roll?
Yeah, or a rip. If you're around any structure, give it a quick rip just to
Yep.
break it up a bit, and it'll wake the fish up.
Floats
Yeah,
tail down.
tail is down a little bit. It's
about
sort of
that?
about
Okay.
there. Yeah,
Yep.
yep.
Awesome. I think that's a great looking bait, and I think that I didn't know it existed. So that's super.
Definitely working the dams down south too,
I
like
think so.
St Clair. Yeah.
We're familiar with this one. Anyone who's a keen bass fisherman knows this D style. Tell us about it, Shawnee.
A D-style reserve.
The reserve.
Yeah.
It's like a
Dragonfly.
cicada on steroids, isn't it?
Yes,
For
it
dragonfly.
is. Yeah, a couple of different ways to fish it. But I like to just slow roll it and just get that wing going.
Like
Yeah,
this.
that like almost a straight walk the dog sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Change it up. Put a little set of assists on the back.
Oh, so you can put another set
Yeah,
on the
I
back if you want.
just cut that
and
tail off.
assists.
Yeah, set of small ZX assists.
Yep.
And it lays in the water a little bit more, but
Yep.
that actually helps with the bite when they come up from underneath and grab it.
Well, some's good, more's better when it comes for hooks on those guys. And we all know how retarded a bass is from hitting
Oh,
something off the top a
yes.
lot of the
Yeah.
time. They can hit it many times and somehow not hook up.
Yeah, look at buzzbaits, for example.
Mate,
You know.
it's a miraculous thing that they can actually hook up at all sometimes, those things.
Yep.
Let's go to some of the jerk baits, and we've got sort of a couple of different brands here that JML do. Tell us about the two brands.
We've got the Norris laydown minnow.
That's the bottom one here.
Yep. And the Eco Gear SX 60.
60, and that's
Yep.
the top one there. And that's always been, for the last 20 plus years, a gun bass lure.
Yeah, yeah. And it probably will be for another 20 years.
I think so.
It's
They
just-
cast well,
Yeah.
right cadence, sounds good. I must admit, I've caught more bass on the 60 than I have on the Norris. To me, this is more of I've used as a brim lure, but it looks right in the hitting zone for a river bass.
Yeah. I find with the laydown minnow, I will wind it instead of jerk baiting it as well.
So you
fish
look
it like a
crankbait.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
more like a jerky fish.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, which is counterintuitive, because I'd say it would be the other way around if I was to guess.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, that's, yeah.
And
I
those
found-
guys are good with the hooks straight out of the box?
Yep, fish them straight out of the box.
All right. I'm going to do these ones next, and this one, 100%, I guarantee every single person on the Bass Tour has got these in the box. Tell us about them.
ZX40s.
The original and the best?
Yep, you cannot beat it. I reckon it's the best bass lure in Australia.
Yep.
You can fish it in so many different situations.
Dams and
Yeah,
rivers, yep.
Yep.
And there are guys that specialise in it, that are gold at it. I know the Grafton locals definitely love them. And then once those assist hooks get in, they tend to not get out.
No, and they catch big cod on those.
They do, and they use them for yellowbelly too with
20
their scoping.
kilo cod.
Yep.
On
those
these,
tiny hooks.
Yeah, how they don't break is just amazing.
Tell me how you like fishing these guys in a river. Like I know in the lake sometimes it's those little shore pops on the bottom. Is it the same in a river?
Yeah. Generally, I'll fish blades vertical in a river. Like try and
Straight
find
under the boat.
Yeah, try and find a tree that's washed down in the previous floods, and there'll be bass milling around that. And
How shallow can you get the water before you stop catching it vertically, or can it be like 3 foot under the boat?
they'll come right up.
Okay, so if you can sneak in quiet enough, you can just catch them literally a rod length under the boat.
Yep.
Cool.
Definitely. Yep. And that colour, 440.
That's your one, is it?
That is, it's the best colour for the rivers.
So there you go. If you want a hint on,
I think that colour's 2-3 years old now.
yep,
It came out just before a Richmond round,
Yep.
Bass Electric round.
bit of gold,
And,
bit of orange.
It slays. It really does. Good prawn imitation.
Now here's a bait that I didn't know that Western did. Tell me what this fella is.
The blade bite.
What's it called?
The blade bite.
Blade bite.
Yeah.
It's a chatterbait with a plastic lip, and it's got it's not as a harder knocking bait as a normal
No,
chatterbait. You
it
said.
vibrates a little bit slower. With the plastic blade, there's only a couple of lures on the market that have plastic blades.
Yep.
I presume if you took the metal out of that blade, it would actually float. So the blade wants to sit up.
So
it's ready to go.
So it sits on the bottom like that.
Yeah, and the blade sort of
Floats up a bit.
Yeah, so it works straight away.
Yep.
Yeah, and so you can fish it a lot slower. Like a metal blade, you've got to work it hard to get the blade to vibrate. Whereas these ones, you can fish them a lot slower. You can drag them.
Do you fish a trailer on them?
No, I fish
trailer,
that
just
as
nude.
it is. Yep.
As it is. All right.
Yep.
Cool. And then where have you had the most success with this? Is this a dam thing?
Yeah, Lake McDonald.
Lake McDonald, eh?
Yeah, back
before the fish went.
Yeah, before all the rain we've had in the last couple of years. When they first come out, Tony hooked me up with a couple, and we went up there and we were fishing the pockets between the weed, the open water between the weed, and the bass were coming out of the weed, and like we'd go over the top of the weed, drop it down the weed, down the side of the weed tower, and the bass would just come out and just smash it. Yeah.
I like the size of that bait. To me, it's some of the chatterbaits guys throw seem big to me, like they seem bulky, and I know the bass eat them, but I feel very comfortable as an angler fishing something that size because I know that even a just legal bass can fit that in his mouth. Yeah,
definitely. And another thing is the hook presentation. It sits up like a football jig.
So it sits on the bottom like that.
When it sits on the bottom, it's up, but when it's swimming, it's also up a bit.
Okay.
So it's like the hook's more exposed.
Good hook up rate.
Yeah. It's sitting out of the skirt a bit more.
I think they look great. I think they're going to be a bit of a weapon for you down there. And of course, you've got a plastic bait here that everyone knows these.
Yeah, everyone knows.
My question was, I thought they were out of action.
I've asked Tony, and
he says he's got them still.
Yeah, there's still a few around.
Eco Gear Power Shad's literally we've been catching fish on these for over 20 years. This is the colour. I don't know what number the colour is, but I tell you what, we've been using it forever. It's like two guys, colour 126, this one. But it was it's like a silver belly and a green top. They also made a silver belly and like a grey blue top as well. That I used to love fishing as well. And these have been catching them forever. Some guys cut a little bit off the head when they're around it. Yep. And other guys like fishing it straight on. But the Power Shad, they also used to make these in a 6-inch as well that Barra really liked as well.
Really?
In days. But I haven't seen them around for a while. I do have a few packets of them still at the back there. But I really liked fishing. They were a long paddle tail, but when a fish ate them, they weren't a very bulky body. So you find with these baits, with the bigger ones, when a fish hits it, it'll often hook up because there's nothing occluding the hook with it.
Correct.
So whether you Texas rig 'em, jig head rig 'em, love the old Power Shad. It's like the bass fisherman's version of a pink grub, I reckon, of the old grass minnow. So I think that's a great selection. If you took just that down to the Hawkesbury, I reckon you'd have nearly all bases covered for down there.
Yep.
So there you go. Tell us, before you go, what sort of preparation do you do going to these arenas for the first time? How much time do you spend on Google Maps and Googling things or ringing people up, or what sort of research do you do?
Yeah, well, obviously YouTube is probably the best tool.
Give it a hiding?
Yep. There's actually not a lot on there for these two rivers.
Yep.
There's some kayak guys and things like that, but the bass guys haven't really done any footage.
They're secret squirrels, eh?
Yeah. So I'm sort of attacking it as if I was fishing the Clarence or the Richmond, so similar.
Yep. Looking for the same sort of structures that you fish in those rivers and find them.
That's it. And then
what about
talking to mates.
Yep.
Obviously, we've got a good group of mates that we camp with at all the rounds.
Yeah, but do they lie to you?
Oh, it's getting harder and harder because we're starting to. There's young Cameron Hall. Well, he pipped me by 20 grams at Wivenhoe.
Yeah, they give him an each.
So he's on the back burner now. But
he's on the information train.
That's it. Sorry,
he's off
Cam,
the information train.
Yep.
Well, he's a river specialist though. He might be able to offer you more than you can offer him. Who knows?
Yeah, and we do share a little bit, but only to a point because. If you spoon feed people, then they don't learn anything and they can't adapt.
Yep.
Like you were talking about day 2 on the Clarence for the Brim round just recently. You were able to adapt on the second day. Some people can't.
Yep.
Because they might have been spoon fed. So
Or
you
they
know,
might have just had such a good day on the first day they didn't want to leave. That can happen, you know that.
yeah, but you got to grow as an angler, and the only way you can
Yep.
grow is to get out there and do
Get
it
out
yourself.
your comfort zone.
Yeah, that's it.
And do it. So you'll be learning as an angler, taking your Basco down there and fishing these 2 new rivers. And I think it's great. I think anyone who wants to improve themselves as a fisherman, don't just fish your local. Just push yourself outside. Even if it's only like one tournament down the coast from where you normally fish, you'll find you'll learn things on that arena that you can take back to fish where you
100%.
do. And I know all over Australia, I learn things on arenas and I take them back home because, man, we don't fish like that back home, or the different baits that we don't use.
Yep.
And I think it's fantastic.
Yep.
Well, mate, thanks for coming in tonight. I think it's great to give these guys a bit of insight about how an up and coming boater. You've had some. How many tournaments have you done as a boater now? 2 or 3?
Just the 2. I only had the boat just finished before the Wivenhoe Somerset doubleheader last year.
That's it. Nearly won one already, but don't we won too early.
Yeah, I think I was midfield or something at Somerset, and then
and nearly did it.
I led Wivenhoe day 1 and lost it by 20 day 2.
So the grand final this year is going to be on the Richmond River. So if you fish that 2 southern events, the 2 northern events, you obviously fish Somerset Wivenhoe again.
Yep.
You'll make that into the grand final. And how do you think the Richmond? Have you done much time on the Richmond? A few
I've
Bass
fished
Electrics?
it. Yeah, a few Bass Electrics. It's a very different river to the Clarence.
So
It's a
you're
lot
an expert
tighter.
between Coracai and Swan Bay.
Yeah, yes, correct.
Nice.
Yep. But I'll spend a bit of time down there. I'll probably stay with friends down there a few times and do a bit of pre-fishing and
Get into it. Well, there is it's not as big a boat as in the Bream. It's I think it's about a 4.2 metre tiller with a 40 or a 60 on it, on a trailer. It's got a full BLA Minn Kota Humminbird setup on it. Be a nice boat to win.
Oh yeah.
You might have a 1 in 30 chance of winning it.
Yeah, well I sold my tinny. I shouldn't have done that.
Well, I tell you what you also saw before we came on air tonight is you saw us packing away all of the bass prizes for the non-boaters.
Yep.
Give the non-boaters that are watching now an independent view of how good the prizes are for the non-boaters this year.
There's some serious gear in those packages.
We've got
Lot of
14
money.
prizes.
Yeah.
So 14th, I think it's 14, Nicole? 13 top 13 or 14 non-boaters will take home a prize pack, and the smallest of them is about $125 up to $900 worth.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. There's some good gear there. I wouldn't mind a few of those packages myself,
that's
actually.
it. You know, get your non-boater across the line and hit them up for some
Yeah,
of the gear.
I'll be able to get my hand in there and grab a couple of lures or something.
In fact, I was thinking pretty hard for my Tackle Fridays on Friday to actually grab the whole selection of packages and show just everything that gets given away, because sometimes they gloss over a little bit, but the sponsors really do kick in a lot of stuff, and it's the right stuff.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of stuff you get in the packs where you think, I'm not going to use that. You're like, I'll take that out. That's in the tackle box. It's all going in the tackle box because it's all relevant stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
Yep.
So thanks for coming in tonight, mate.
No worries.
Good luck down there. I hope you
Cheers.
finish one place below me, and we'll go from there. Let's drop to an ad. We're going to come back. Wrapping up Bass, we're going to move on to some Bream. Well, there you go. Shaun must have loved it because I said, Shaun, you can go home now. He goes, no, I'm staying for this because he likes the comments that he gets from his mates. If you're his mates, get onto him. He's either an old bloke or a good-looking bloke. Make your mind up, boys, what he is.
Yep, that's it.
But he's telling me just in the break there that you used to be a bream fishing guy, mate. We're going to be talking about bream now. So what are you? Are you really a bass guy or a bream guy? What are you?
Well, I'm probably going to turn into a barra guy, so I really don't know what's going on.
Well, you know, no one's perfect because we all end up going to barra eventually because there's nothing wrong with that meter fish.
Redneck enough.
That's it. You get the tick and all shit goes crazy for a minute. You know, it's there's something good about that, isn't there?
Yeah. Yep.
We've wrapped up the bass now. We're going to move on to the bream. Of course, it's the second part of our Sydney road trip. We're going to be in the field there for nearly 2 weeks. We have given ourselves a grand 1 day off between the bass tournaments and the bream tournaments. Nicole, what are we going to do on Sydney that day? Probably sleep because it'll be 2 hard events, I think. Then we've got 1 day off to rest and recover before we do the BaitJunkie Hawkesbury round, which is a normal ABT bream qualifier in the Daiwa BREAM Series, and then the Daiwa BREAM Australian Open, which from Nicole's point of view is a really difficult event. It's a hybrid event. We run the app for an estimator. We do a weigh-in. Nicole will be running some live shows during the thing, so she's got all the balls in the air at once, and I just go fishing.
That's it.
How good's that? That's how it works.
Gig.
So we've got anglers from Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. Everyone's there trying to line up to qualify for that grand final, which is in Victoria this year for the Bass. But we're clever. We put the qualifier there, and why don't you hang around for the Australian Open? So we've got a few of the Vickies, a few of the Queenslanders, a few of the guys from that event stay around and they fish that event on that iconic Australian arena. Let's have a quick look. We've got a lot of anglers entered for the qualifier, but let's have a look at the Australian Open in particular. At the strength of the field that we have there, we've got 28 boats entered at the moment. The slide's up there, Nicole. Guys like Jono Fitzgibbon, I'll give Jono full marks for fishing that because he's a champion non-boater, sometimes struggles as a boater, and there's nothing wrong with jumping straight in at the deep end at the Australian Open. So Jono's fishing. We've got Mario Vukic there, who's a Victorian who is learning this waterway, and one year is just going to come and absolutely poleaxe it. Previous winners like Mark Crompton, Daniel Bonacorso, Jamie McEwen. I've won it a few times. Chris Hickson's won it before. Who else we got there? I think that might be it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 previous winners in that field, and a really strong local field. Guys like Tim Vickers have had great single days at the Open, but haven't put it together enough to win the home event. Guys like Dave Masters and Ahmed, they're local guys. Jason Graham's a local. Aaron Tracy's a local. Taka from Daiwa's a local. We'll talk to him soon. But there is a great mix of field of people there. And number 26 entered there, Justin Pitt. We haven't seen Justin, and a lot of new guys won't know Justin, but we haven't seen Justin in an ABT tournament for over 10 years, but he is making the effort to come out and fish as a boater in the Australian Open this year, and we look forward to having Justin back in the field. And look at that, number 28 just slipped in there today, the Zeus, Dane Tomaszewski. So really strong field where nearly anyone can win it. Remember, Australian Open key points are 100% payback, 3-day format with a cut at the end of the second day. So we only have about 15 boats on the last day. It's around, depending on the entries, $5,000-$6,000 first prize usually. After the money runs out, and it'll be $1,000 for the worst place check, that's when the tackle kicks in. There's another 3 or 4 Daiwa outfits, rods, reels, tackle, go down to well over 10th place. So as far as bang for buck goes, it is a great payout venue, and that sort of compensates for the fact that it's in Sydney and it costs you this arm and half of that leg to fish the joint. Not that most of the ramps actually are free. It's just navigating around Sydney and staying in Sydney for us Queenslanders and maybe some of the Vickies, a little bit scary. On the water, it's awesome. On the road, sometimes you've got these roads that are like 150 years old, and when they were designed to hold a horse and cart, and we're taking a 2.5 metre boat down them, and we don't fit a lot of the time. And it's peak hour when you're going home. So we have our routes, we get relaxed, we don't mind it taking an hour to get anywhere because it's worth it on the water. Yeah. It's such a good location. It is, and there's something cool. I like fishing east of the harbour a lot. My commute in the morning is under the harbour bridge with the Opera House, and there is something cool about that. It doesn't matter how many times you do it, you think, I could be at work today, stamping out shoes or doing something, and I'm here fishing in one of the greatest parts of the world. So
it's actually on my bucket list.
To go and do it?
Yep.
Crazy good. So great field there. The thing is, we caught up with a couple of the guys from Daiwa, Tommy Slater, who's going to drop a few bombs this thing, and Taka Kawasaki. I think we're going to do them all in one interview, so let's roll on into them.
So here we have basically the entire brains trust of lure design at Daiwa. Taka Kawasaki, Tom Slater. It's pretty rare to get both of you in the same place at the same time, isn't it?
I guess we're not really in the same place, are we? Tucker's in his car. I'm in the office, but Tucker's waiting out a housing inspection or something.
That's it. Got to stay away and hide away.
This is work from home, isn't it? You can get stuff done while getting stuff done, can't you?
That's it. I mean, I'm fortunate because, Tom's pretty easy with me. So, I get to do a lot of things and look after kids and whatnot as well. So thanks.
So long as your homework's done.
That's it.
Hey, for us, it's an exciting time of year. It's the Australian Open, the Daiwa Australian Open, and a Sydney-based BREAM event, and we plug them together each year because a lot of people from around the country love coming and fishing the BREAM Australian Open, but then tagging on an ABT qualifier, and we've done that this year, and it's happening a bit arse about this year. At first, it's the BaitJunkie Hawkesbury BREAM qualifier in the Daiwa BREAM Series. round number 4 of the year. And then we roll straight into the Daiwa BREAM Australian Open on Sydney Harbour. So for a lot of bream junkies Australia-wide, it is an epic week of bream fishing, whether you're angling for them or watching it. Tommy Slater, you're not going to be in a boat for some of it this year. What's the story?
No, I'm not. I sold the boat, so a lot of people saw the Phoenix up for sale. So the boat might be there. I'm not sure yet. Possibly Adam Richards that scooped up the Phoenix might be rocking the BaitJunkie boat. But no, I'll be. I might non-boat one. You never know. I might non-boat the Hawkesbury. But I'm actually getting in the process of getting ready to move overseas. So I'm moving to Japan and taking up a position with Daiwa Japan in the product development side. So, which is really exciting. But it's meant obviously a couple of sacrifices. Boat's gone, and moving overseas with the family. So, yeah, it'll be a bit different for the next few years. But I'll be an eager viewer of the tournaments now for a couple of years from afar. So.
I think you've done the whole circle now, haven't you, Tom? You started as a non-boater. You've won a teams championship for ABT. You've won ABT, multiple ABT qualifying events. You've fished as a boater. I'm sure you've had people win out of the back of your boat as well.
A couple, I think. Yep.
And we've twisted your arm enough to help us do some commentary in the Australian Open as well. So there's a lot of exclusives happening here on live tonight, isn't there? Tommy's going to Japan, and he's also doing some commentary.
Yeah, I think that'll be it'll be really good fun to commentate the Oz Open this year. Obviously, we've done the live shows in various forms the last few years in the Daiwa BREAM Australian Open. Obviously, I've fished it for many years, so I'll be on a different side of the screen this time, and I can hopefully bring some value to the audience that tunes in and watches one of the premier events of the year, and talk to you about what the anglers are facing out there on the water on Sydney Harbour, because it is a pretty cool venue with lots of options and lots of varying techniques used. So yeah, I think it'll be good.
And of course, Taka, we've got you there slipping up into Tom's role on the water. So a top 5 placing in the Open's virtually a shoe-in for you this year, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I would like to think so. I mean, I've done it a few times now, so I know what it's like to fish the tournament, and I know what it takes to win Open as well. So hopefully I can finish at least, nicely. Top 10 finish would be nice, but always I got to aim high. So hopefully first place finish would be a nice one to go.
I like it. That's a lot more confident than you were before the show. So that's fantastic. So we've got it a little bit asked about. Of course, the first event this year is going to be the BaitJunkie round of the Daiwa BREAM Series. It's on the Hawkesbury. It's one of Australia's best bream arenas. It's huge. It's diverse. And basically every BaitJunkie in the range can catch a bream in that joint. Let's talk a little bit to Taka about this. Taki, you've had a bit to do with the BaitJunkie development over the years. And look, Tom, I know you both have done it. I want you to tell us about one of the new BaitJunkies which has come out in the last 6 months, and how much of the testing you actually do on the Hawkesbury. Like, some of these baits were invented on this arena where it's going to be the BaitJunkie round, wasn't it?
Yeah, funny enough. I mean, I do more for hard body side of development, and we got other guy called John Taka who actually is in charge of BaitJunkie as well.
Yep.
He's done a lot of research and testing. He can actually do render himself, so he actually draw the whole thing by himself.
Yes.
And paid attention to details. So a lot of little things that you actually wouldn't think of, he can actually come up and think about it, and he can come up with a solution with it. Tom obviously had a lot to say in it, and Chris Exton himself as well. And I've done quite a lot of testing with John, Tom, and Chris, like all of us. Particularly, I think the little prawn that we got come out, we had him out probably after last year. That's been great success for us. I've fished that throughout the harbour. I fished in Hawkesbury, throw into the washes or in the pontoons, you name it. You can cast that thing in anywhere. Just by letting it drift. It's got a nice little leg action as well. I'm pretty sure Tom can rub a little bit more on that as well. So I think that prawn's definitely a goer and a winner. I personally love that lure, and I like casting that with jig head, like a BaitJunkie jig head, and like a 130. It's quite lightweight. Just let it drift to float. That's my style of fishing with that lure. Tom, how do you fish that plastic?
It kind of depends. So to answer Steve's first question, probably almost all the lures that we develop here would get tested in the Hawkesbury, because it's probably kind of the best cross fishery that we've got locally to Sydney. Obviously, Sydney Harbour's great, but if we want to test something on bream, bass, perch, flatties, dew, all in one day, you can do all of that in the Hawkesbury. So it is a pretty versatile venue. But obviously, from the BaitJunkie side of things, the brand's been around now for quite a few years. Obviously, everyone knows the plastics and the jig heads. But yeah, like Taka said, the 2.35-inch prawn, we actually just landed some more stocks of that literally this morning. We've been sold out for the last few months, so they've been a bit hard to get. But lots of guys have been having success on them around this area. I generally fish the Hawkesbury kind of not differently to most people, but a bit differently to Taka. So I kind of generally stay out a bit deeper and fish a bit heavier jig heads and those kind of bottom baits, on like a 12th or an 8th ounce BaitJunkie, number 2 size hook, with things like 2.5 grubs, 2.35 prawns, 2.5-inch minnows, or the 3-inch wave minnow.
Yes,
that's kind of I normally always have some of those. And then of course, if you go like the Hawkesbury's great rack fishing, 2.5-inch grub, on like a 16th or a 20th jig head, heavy wire up in the racks is a pretty fun way to fish the Hawkesbury. If I'm not fishing the current out deep, I'd 100% be fishing the racks in the Hawkesbury, because it is a great way to fish.
And it sounds like if you want to take on board some sponsor karma, there are multiple ways to do it within the BaitJunkie range. Like I think with some of your latest additions, like the flick, like that little prawn, I think there's not a technique that you can't fish with the BaitJunkie now, is there really?
No, not really. Yeah, we've pretty much got all sides covered now. Whether you're doing that flats thing with the 295 flick, or fishing deep, or fishing structure with the risky critter or something, everyone's seen me on the live streams on Oz Open fishing risky critters around the pontoons and stuff. So yeah, it's a pretty versatile lure range now. And as Taka said, John, that's been kind of the brains behind it for the last few years. Has really kind of taken it to another level that what I was able to do with my very rudimentary drawing skills, going back and forth to our Japanese designers. I'd sketch out some, like the risky critter, for example, I sketched out in just on a piece of paper with Chris.
Back of a napkin.
Yeah, like literally kind of just side profile, top profile. And it was that process of turning those sketches into proper 3D renders was like a 4 or 5 month turnaround. John's able to do that in a couple of days now.
Wow.
So it's I think I was saying on one of the previous live shows, we've invested in 3D printers and stuff in the office now, so we can print up real physical size samples of things, look at it, go, oh yeah, no, that doesn't quite look what I had in mind. We can change it. But we also can reverse that and actually print molds and actually mold soft plastic prototypes and do swim tests now without having to
Don't have to go to Japan.
Go back and forth with Japan. So John's got a couple of things in the works for later this year and into next year and ongoing, that I think all the guys that are fans of BaitJunkie will be really excited to see what's coming.
So not having worked in the Daiwa office, whose nickname is Hollywood that just comes in and grabs the plastic he's made, fishes it, and then just tells them to make a change and then leaves? Is that you, Taka, or Tom? Who's the one that does that?
That's Tom.
Oh, Tom
I was going to say that's probably Brett. He always says something needs to change.
I thought Brett would be Hollywood because of his riveting smile. And anyone that doesn't know Brett Habner, just you find me a photo where he's smiling. It's like, they're pretty rare, aren't they?
Few and far between evidence of Brett's smile on the internet.
That's right. No one knows if he's got any teeth or not. Hey, let's fast forward then. We do a practice day and 2 tournament days on the Hawkesbury. We'll give away over $10,000 cash, whole heap of prizes. For all the Oz Open guys, doesn't stop for them there. Very next day will be practice day for the Open, and then that is a 3-day event on Sydney Harbour. We always consider it like a test match of bream fishing. It's on the same arena nowadays, has been for the last few years. It's an event where you need the skills to catch the fish, the brains to manage the fish, and the luck to get yourself up on top of the leaderboard. And Tom, you always have been up there and in and about it each year. It literally comes down to, within the first 2 or 3 people, there's a big fish or a big couple of fish that if one person catches them, they win. But if the other person catches them, they win. It's always that close, isn't it?
Yeah, the Oz Open's kind of the pinnacle of those kind of close, could go either way tournaments. And I've been fortunate enough to be towards the pointy end a few times, and it does, is, you know, there's every Open I've fished, there's been fish lost or on someone else's boat, fish caught that you go, oh, that won him the Open, or
Yes,
that lost him the Open, or it lost me the Open, or whatever it is. So yeah, it certainly lends itself well to the style of coverage that we do now for the Open, because it is like the harbour itself is just, there's big fish here. It's not a Gippsland Lakes in that there's big ones everywhere. So a big one makes a big difference in the
Yes.
harbour. Like you get that kicker, and you know, if you get it on day 1 or day 2, it puts so much pressure on you, because you're like, I've got that kicker now. I've got to keep it going now for the next few days to make that worthwhile. You know, you can no point getting a big one and then not filling a limit, or just having squeakers to go with it. It's kind of, you've just got to back it up. You've got to be consistent.
and I think we've seen it always over the years. We've seen the years where Michael Colatouris has landed the 1.6 to squeak him over the line. But we've also seen other years. I won the Open a few years ago where I didn't catch a fish over a kilo the whole time. And for me, the Open's all about the consistency. I've always said, don't ever weigh a fish under 30 centimetres to the fork in the Open. And if you're in that zone, you're going to be always up there. You might win every year, but you're always going to be in the chance. And if you have one of those great days on day 3, you're going to be there. And I reckon this is advice for you, Taka. It's not all about catching 536s, because you're not going to be able to do that in the harbour every day. It's just all about never weighing a 25 or a 27 or a 28 forker. Everything's got to be sort of 29, 30 and bigger, and then you are going to give yourself a chance to do it. So when you break it down, you think, oh, it's a great fishery. It's got millions of bream in it. There's lots of bream in it. But when you really break it down, a 30 centimetre fork bream isn't a giant bream. It's a good bream, but you need 15 of those over 3 days, whether it's raining, sunny, windy, calm, hammered, virgin country. You've got to be able to do it in everything. So it's that's where the versatility, I think, comes out. Don't weigh a small one in.
Well, that's my specialty, you know.
small keyring sized bream are
Keyring bream.
specialty.
So there you go. This is some online coaching here. It's if you've got a technique where you can catch 50, 25 centimetre long bream a day, don't fish that in the Open. Don't fish that unless it's the last hour and you haven't got a limit. You're going to have to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Look, we've had so many really cool stories at the Open over the years. Of course, it's the Greg Lee Memorial Trophy. Greg Lee came with his mate Pat DeBattista. They came from 10th to 1st with a 5.6 kilo bag or something crazy back in the day. Graham Franklin, who was a great sponsor of the event, won it with a 5 kilo plus bag out of Iron Cove back in the day. Jamie McEwen's won it a few times on the Sow and Pigs Reef, but that's never a sure thing each year. It just depends on whether the fish are for the year. We've got the Michael Colatouris and the Daniel Bonacorsos. They always sneaking around in the little corners, and depending on which people have hit the spots is what order people are going to catch the big bream in. It's so many cool stories each year. Literally, the three of us could write down 10 plots of what's going to happen, and none of them would even be close. You can never create a story as good as actually happens in real life, can you, Tom?
No. I was just thinking when you said Iron Cove the other day, Greg Cito, who's the MD of Daiwa Australia, came in on Monday and was bragging about the 40 forker he got out of Iron Cove on the weekend for his first bream fish for possibly many, many years.
He sent me a photo. Yes, I saw it.
So there is some big ones still in Iron Cove, but there's as we've seen, there's big ones literally everywhere. You can go all the way up Middle Harbour, Manly, Sow and Pigs, Iron Cove, Lane Cove, up the Para. There's big fish spread out throughout that whole place. So it'll be great to be on the other side of it this year and see what stories unfold, because you're right, it never quite you can't script it, but usually something pretty cool happens to crown the champion.
I got a quick question for you. Who would you think your commentary style is going to be most like? Are you going to be a Mark Zona? Are you going to be a Tommy Sanders? Are you going to be like an NRL commentator? Are you going to be a Richie Beno? What are you?
Richie Beno sounds pretty good. I'll get the little outfit from the cricket. I can have my microphone.
He's got chew brim.
Yeah.
And Taka, the big question I've got, I know you haven't released who's going to happen yet, but is it going to be Taka on the Pursuit video this year? I don't know if you've done enough good things for the bosses to get on the Pursuit this year. I'd love to see the Taka story.
I mean, I've never done that sort of like long form filming since I started Daiwa. So, if marketing team decide to jump on with me, that'd be great. Like you're saying before, it might not be all about big fish, it might not be about the plenty of fish to see, but at the same time, I'll try my best and entertain everyone as much as I can.
It's the little nitro might need a few more horsepower.
That's it. That's the other thing too, having observer as well as cameras and camera gears might sink the boat, so you never know.
Yeah, true. We haven't thought about these practicalities yet. Look, I just know that every single person that fishes the Open, and there will be that 30 plus anglers this year, everyone fishes by themselves. Everyone's got their story. A lot of people love it. They think it's the best event that they do. We have guys come from Queensland. We've got Victorians this year. And to be honest, it doesn't always favour the local. Sometimes the local knowledge is an advantage. Sometimes it isn't. We've seen plenty of Queenslanders. Saw Mario from Victoria nearly win it a couple of years ago. I think it literally can be won by anyone, and someone with a cool story is gonna happen this year. May is a cool time of the year for Bremen, and we're going to be at a cool place to do it. So appreciate your time joining us on ABT Live tonight. Taka, you got a bit of hook sharpening to do and a bit of knot rigging. And Tommy, you got to get the little notebook out, mate, and you need to put your Tommy sayings on there because you've got yourself one opportunity to stamp your name on this job before you bugger off to Japan, and you'll have to do it in bilingual next year.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to join from Japan next year, and I can do a Japanese translation. Maybe if my Japanese is good enough by then.
One final question. I know I've had a couple of final questions, but a final one I've got is, Tom, when you go to Japan, we've all been there several times, and there is a really, really good bream fishery in Japan for chinu, they call them, and they fish for them a bit weird. They don't fish Australian style. Are you going to take some Aussie style bremen across to Japan?
Yeah, definitely. I haven't started packing my stuff yet, but I really should do that. But the only fishing tackle I'm bringing over is actually all my bream tackle. So obviously, bass gear and everything like that is readily available over there. I won't have any dramas getting that stuff. But what I am bringing over is all our in-feet lures, BaitJunkies, jig heads, our in-feet rods, that kind of stuff, to fish, how we fish over here and see what it's like. Me and Tucker are actually going over next week for a couple of meetings. Oddly enough, we're looking at houses for me to stay in as well while we're there for a day. But while we're there, we're actually doing some field testing with the Daiwa Japan chinu kind of tester, pro angler, and the product development guy. So that'll be a good opportunity for us to kind of see what they do. I know, I spoke to you, Morgo. You fished with the Japanese guys over there from Mariuku a bit. As you say, they fish very differently to us. It's bottom contact baits or top water. There's nothing in between.
Nothing mid-water.
Nothing mid-water. So, for us, that's, a lot of our fishing is kind of mid-water style, or at least the fish that are kind of sitting in that mid-water. So it'll be really interesting to fish for them for the first time over there properly. And definitely I'm planning on taking all my gear over and exploring whether it's Tokyo or Osaka or some of the harbours there, and trying to work out how to catch some chinu and bream on in-feet stuff in Japan. I think it'll be really cool.
We'll all be following your socials, waiting with bated breath to see what you can do over there. And guys, again, thanks for joining us. Favourite bream week of the year, it's coming on up. All the coverage for the guys watching this abt.org.au. Nicole will have it all set there, the estimator scoreboards, the scoreboards for the weigh-ins at the Hawkesbury event. The weigh-ins will all be live. Tommy's have his live show there. It's going to be a fun week. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
Well, there you go. I think that's it for the show for me tonight, from me and from Shaun. Probably wasn't too interested by the BREAM stuff, but hey, that's how we roll at ABT Live. Thank you for joining us. I have got a winner from tonight. Our winner was from Facebook. His name was Simon Carter, and he wanted an Atomic Arrows, I think it was an AAS 70 ml 2-piece. And I actually Googled it to make sure it was a rod. So Simon, send us your postal address on a Facebook message. We will get that great box of tackle out to you. And you don't have to stop watching fishing tonight, because let's face it, tommywood.com.au, tommywoodfishing.com.au, new website, is fishing soon. They start at 9:15, which is in just under an hour's time from now. Tommy Wood will be starting. If you want to keep an eye on Bass Track, he's pretty good at putting the fish in when he catches them. So he's got to catch them this one. And on the Tombigbee River, or on the Mississippi River, I think it is. It's a tributary that they're fishing. Good luck, Tommy. It's the Tommy River. His name's Tommy, and he's Aussie, so he's going to go all right. So that's all. Whack a comment in there. Say, go Tommy. Watch him tonight. Simon Carter sent us a message. We'll see all your fishermen in Sydney, bass fishermen, bream fishermen. We're going to give away a lot of cash, a lot of prizes. This was ABT Live number 55.